please help me welcome Sean Fieler.
It's my distinct honor this evening to introduce Governor Perry. Now, typically, before I talk to a politician, I talk to Terry or Frank at APP, and I'm always asking them, where's this politician gone wobbly? And more often than not, politicians are waffling on something or another, but not Rick Perry. And that's the great thing about Governor Perry. You don't have to talk him out of his position or into a new position because he's got the right positions. And he's had the right ones for all 14 years that he was in office. And better yet, Governor Perry is undoubtedly unafraid of what he believes. So let me tell you what I mean. I'll give you a little anecdote. It was about 8 years ago. I was out in Aspen with the RGA. Governor Perry was there. I was in the audience. And we had a lineup of Republican governors on the stage. And it was at the Aspen Institute. In Aspen, a fancy place with fancy people, most of whom, the vast majority of whom, were pretty liberal. And the Q&A began, and the Second Amendment came up. And the waffling began right away. It was unbelievable. They were all over the place. Yes, the Second Amendment, but, and then we got to Governor Perry. And it was a breath of fresh air to hear you, Governor, talk about what you believe with conviction in a room full of Republican governors that were unwilling to do so. And I think that really, amongst the, I guess, still potential only presidential candidates is something we know about Governor Perry. You don't have to guess what he's going to say. You don't have to guess where he's going to be. You know. And more importantly, you know where he will be when you need him the most. So we hosted a lunch earlier today addressing this issue that we've had a lot of success with here at APP as a Common Core, the federal overreach into education policy. And we forgot to do two things. So one, we forgot to talk about our Parents Against the Common Core initiative. It's parentsagainstthecommoncore.com that we launched today. That's a resource for parents working to turn back the Common Core. But the other thing we forgot to do was mention Governor Perry. So when the Common Core was initiated, before APP got in the fight, before there was a national fight, Governor Perry was in the fight. So allow me to read a quote from our Director of Education, Emmett McGroarty, about what Governor Perry did when nobody else was doing anything on this issue. During the dark days, before this became a real movement, the fact that Perry stood up against the federal government gave hope and inspiration to the moms across the country who were upset with the dumbed-down Common Core education to which their children were being subjected. Back then, it seemed impossible to take on the U.S. Department of Education. Such a backlash had never occurred. And we also know what Governor Perry did. He was one of two governors, only two governors, to not take the money, to not accept. You know what he did? Let me tell you what he said. We would be foolish and irresponsible to place our children's future in the hands of unelected bureaucrats and special interest groups thousands of miles away in Washington, virtually eliminating parents' participation in their children's education. That, my friends, that is leadership. Governor Perry.